poverty. In poverty. But let me just say welcome to everybody on our Facebook. Sorry, on our YouTube channel. It's been a minute, right? It's been a good minute. We have been over here. So welcome everybody. We are also live on TikTok, which is our new stamping ground. We've been on TikTok for a little while. I thought I'd just share the space with you guys this evening. But an interesting question came up, guys, and I just want to put it in context real quick. Where he talked about connecting the prosperity promise and the fact that it has not, in his word, quote unquote, has not been delivered. And I had to remind my good friend that prosperity is not a gift that is wrapped in a gift paper and delivered to you. Prosperity is a destination, a journey, a lifestyle change. Removing 50% of individuals upwards of the poverty line in of itself is a part of the journey towards prosperity. Prosperity is not just a package that will show up at your doorstep. So I will say to my good friend, let us continue, because that journey is getting closer every day. The journey that will end up at prosperity is getting closer as the days go by. And I think HR and whomever else is here would agree with me that this is not just a one-off thing that you package in a gift package and deliver to someone's doorstep. But share the live, everybody. We are on. We're live.
Yeah. I like to say, Chuck, that
yes.
It's something that right. Prosperity is not a package that you line up and collect or deliver to your door.
Right.
You have to see Jamaica on a continuum, and that, like the Prime Minister said, taking you from poverty to prosperity, because poverty was commonplace for us at a point in our political history.
Yes.
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 But poverty was really our hallmark then. So you have to see the country on a continuum. It's on a road, as I said, a journey. Take Jamaica as a car on a highway, a freeway, driving in one direction from poverty to prosperity, and the driver who is in the seat, that occupies the seat, is as important as the destination where the car needs to get.
That is a fact.
You have to see the country in a continuum. It's not a package you line up and collect and say, oh, this is prosperity we're delivering to you. or congratulations, you have won prosperity.
Right,
it's
right.
It's a continuum you have to see the country on. Moving.
But HR, cutting the poverty rate by 50% within that period is significant. You know, what people fail to recognize, save and except for the debt to GDP over the extended period, the poverty rate reduction by 50%. Look, there are three things that the country has achieved over the last few years that I think sometimes we don't accept it yet. We take it for granted. You know, hit home yet. You see 42% reduction in murder. You see that's 42% reduction in murder. And you talk about 50% reduction in poverty. Eh? When you put those two together in a brethren, you're talking about the lowering of the debt to GDP. Every single one of these are historical.
I hear people say all the while, you know, when you point out any improvement in your life, they want to say, you know, it's not the government.
Then who? Is it the clergy that does it? Who?
Right?
If not the government, who?
No, but when it's bad, you put to blame the government.
There you go.
And that's part of the problem.
Yes.
Because people don't understand how policies impact their lives, whether good or bad. So when it comes to going to the pool, what they really buy is a feel good.
And that's why the election is so consequential, because it is an important decision that the Jamaican people will be asked to make in a few months. It is perhaps the most important decision that we would have made since independence. Just picture what is at stake here. Picture what the JLP government has been able to do, and picture if the PNP were to come to office, what they could do. I want young people to think about that.
The reason to say we as labor rights, the party and the extension, us as soldiers of the party, foot soldiers of the party, we have to be very bullish.
We have to be.
When it comes out to protecting the Labour Party image,
you have to.
And championing the message and achievements of the government.
You have to.
Be very bullish. That not only we, HR group, but the party does enough to get people to fear going back to the PNP. Because I don't think a lot of people know what it means.
They don't understand.
Who you think don't know?
They're not fearful.
Can I say something real quick?
Still don't have that fear. I think we have to drive fear.
No, you don't. You have to drive fear. The electorate in Jamaica is different from what it was 10, 15 years ago. Look here. When I walk into this country,
people are just going about casually as if
my brother, don't take for granted some of those persons that you see going about their business casually. Go on a campaign, my brother. Go and speak to 20 of those persons you consider just going about their business. Try to have a conversation with them. And I guarantee that you'll come back here and say, boy, Chopper, you're right. Most of those persons already took a decision. As a matter of fact, try to find some PNP leading people today. Pull them to the side. Don't talk to them in a crowd, because when they're in a crowded area, they're going to defend their party. Pull them to the side and try to have a good conversation, open conversation, and you'll be surprised to know that there's a lot of PNP people today who believe that what this government is doing now should not be stopped and should continue.
I talk to people every day, and we can tell them, different experiences. I had to convince. I remember the other day I was talking to somebody, and I had to convince them. They are now fully on board, fully committed to vote in JLP in the next election, and I can tell you this, right? I had to point out some benefits and policies of the government to them and tell them how they are benefiting. I realize that people on their own sometimes don't pay attention to these things. They have to be told, right? And
yes.
After saying so, so she looking at her and she said, true enough. And then she sent to me that her mother is going to be voting and a friend of hers is going to be voting for the JLP. It's not that they don't see what is happening, some of them. Some of them don't take it serious. Some of them don't pay attention any at all to really think about it as being a serious decision, right? And sometimes they need a little nudging. I can tell you.
Yeah.
Good night, Sandra. Good night. Violet, Miss Facey, how you doing? Good night to you.
What I can also say now is that I know.
Can you guys hear me?
With a lot of young people on a daily basis.
Are you guys able to hear me?
And a lot of them not said that they have never had interest in politics. They have never had that interest. But what they have taken note of in recent time.
Yeah. Are you guys hearing me?
In murder that Chopper talks about.
Miss Sandra, how you doing? Miss Violet, how are you? Welcome. It's been a minute I haven't been over on this side at all, but I am here, so let's do this, right? Share the live, everybody. Tell a friend that we're live.
Is to connect that sort of good news to the Jamaica Labour Party.
Yeah,
The third-grade person wanted to speak.
Are they about voting to keep it? That's my thing,
Yeah, man. Some of them will. You won't get all of them, but some of them will. But if we can connect a lot more people to the good news that they're hearing, let them understand that this is because of a JLP policy. This is because of a Andrew Holness policy.
Exactly. That's why we have to politicize it, right?
And then they will hold on to it. So I don't buy into this thing that we're not going to make it politicized.
It has to be politicized. And anytime you hear the persons who...
With the chops and friends, the Sir Green person wanted to say something.
Go ahead, Sir Green.
Please, greetings.
Just one line and just hand it over to you. My job every day is to get them to understand the seriousness of not just talking and admiring the government's achievement, but actually voting on the day of election. Because that's where you really want to get them. You have a lot of supporters of the jail here, right? You have a lot of supporters of the government who support what the government is doing. But I am interested in knowing if it's going to be converted into votes. Actual votes.
Well, let me tell you something what I believe, my brother. As a campaigner, as somebody who's on the ground.
Yeah.
At this stage of the game, I'm not out there to convince anybody. Anybody who has not been convinced about what this country has gone through and what this government has done, I can't convince you again. You know what my premier focus is right now? Those persons who believe in the Jamaica Labour Party, who believe in the government, who have seen the work, who understand the importance of the work and understand the importance of continuity. Those are the persons who I'm going to be focused on. Reinforcing them, making sure that they cement themselves. I'm not wasting a lot of time trying to convince persons, because the truth is there's nothing more this country, this government can do to convince you if you're not yet convinced.
It's not as ready. No, I'm not trying to convince them to support the joint penal. These are people I'm talking about who admire what the government is doing.
Yes.
But I am interested in knowing are you going to be voting for it?
Okay.
And I'm getting you to understand the seriousness of voting for it. You understand? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are not. It doesn't necessarily translate into a vote. When you ask them, they hesitate. But why? Yeah, why disagree?
Yeah, we just want to say a real quick thing still on behalf of all our tech base right now. We just want to ask you men in the chat right now, really. Anyone of you men read any one of the papers, the paper like from Observer or Gleaner since this reduction come out?
Yes, I read both papers.
Okay, so which one of the paper you read and don't see anything at all pertaining?
The Gleaner. The Gleaner don't carry it.
And don't you know that the Gleaner is the #1 news carrying paper around the Caribbean?
Yes.
And they do not carry it.
No.
So what we have to say about that, really?
Well, I didn't expect any better from the Gleaner. The Gleaner is a card-carrying member of the PNP. The chairman of the Gleaner Communications Group is one of the first executive at his level to endorse a political party and a political leader. He endorsed Mark Golden, and his newspaper has been consistent in campaigning and spreading propagandas and lies. So am I surprised? No.
So I implore every Jamaican laborite not to buy a Gleaner ever.
I mean, gentle people, big man, Mr. Green, you're on the right track, because I remember months ago when I'm at the Gleaner, a lot of people threatened me, some people inbox me, while when I call up journalist name over Gleaner TVJ RTR, because sometimes we forget to say it's a conglomerate. But you know what? It is the first chairman who openly endorsed the PNP. Or remember, as Spalding endorsed the PNP secretly, because he was doing the PNP's bidding by shredding the archives of the PNP skullduggery when them by JDC. And so they have always been behind the PNP, except that period when that in the situation with Edward Siaga when they were carrying certain stories. But since Michael Manley backed them up, they have been PNP since. Now, I was watching a news clip from TVJ, Archibald Gardner, the next presenter. And it's as if they were under pressure. It's as if they must shit up themselves to present the news and the reduction in poverty. I don't know if you see that clip they pass around on TikTok. Only two of them are look on the word. I wonder if them should have really read the part I use. It's as if them are stutter, them are pause, and them are search the words them to say, because guess what? It was after Cliff, 1 minute after Cliff call them out Thursday morning. Them publish it online on them www.ph, their website.
Yeah,
and then about 2 or 3 hours later, I make it way for Instagram on them angles, all on them. And you see, they don't want to do it. And they probably was hoping that nobody with no influence in the society don't say nothing about it, so that the day could have slide by. Because since Mark Golding go to Connecticut in a basement and cost the media, because it look like they did a report too much good. It look like when they reach back home, you know, them get 400,000 when the council and them now Westmoreland and testify, so they get their person. But you know why there's something going on. And that is the reason why our jobs are so huge. We have a mission ahead of we, guys. Look at how the bad news is sensationalized. It's a sensationalization of the bad news make it reach far and take hold, you know. We need to start sensationalizing good news.
Exactly.
Exactly protecting.
Sensationalize it backside. Anybody will stop.
You know why they can't afford to publish that about poverty, the reduction in poverty? It is the strongest argument that the PNP has.
Okay.
Well, they had.
The past 3 months, Mark Golding has talked about poverty.
Exactly. He's trying to convince the electorate that you're no better off now. And that the government is the same, because already, you know, they have over the years tried to convince people that the PNP is for the poor and for the rich. Right? Because they know that they already revealed that in the people in mind, right? They are building on that now to point to try to deceive the people that what is happening. All that you see that the government is doing, only cutting ribbons, did not benefit you. And see the strongest argument, that on corruption. The PNP strategy, you know, is to discredit the government, you know, with this all false or this misinformation about corruption, and to push the narrative that the government is not looking out for the poor of society. That's the only two arguments them have. Right? And once those two arguments come under attack, once those arguments can be rubbish, then the PNP has nothing else to say. The PNP don't have a plan to present to the Jamaican electorate to say or to convince them, right? How they will make their life better. They don't have that. But they just want the people to think about or to be convinced, right? By the bad that they hear and ignore the good that they see.
In 7 minutes, guys, we're gonna hop over to YouTube in about 7 minutes. I'm inviting you guys over on the YouTube channel to further the discussion, because we're going to delve a little deeper into why it is important for a few different demographics in Jamaica to really come out this time and vote. They came out in 1980 when the country had a decision to make in terms of going communism or going democracy. And they came out, I think it was 86% voter turnout. While we do not have a global Cold War going on now, but the consequence of voting for a PNP is just as dire as it was back in the 1980s. It is important that business community who have a history and who can go back to the history and recognize that while they were expected to do well, when the global economies were growing leaps and bounds, 14, 15% all over the world, Jamaica was lagging behind. And that was simply because Jamaica was in the hands of an incompetent government called the PNP.
And non-leader.
So,
government without leadership.
Right. So the business community in particular must take stock and recognize that they don't have the luxury of flirting with the PNP. There are some persons in this country who have a lot of money, and they will tell you how fat their bank accounts are. You F around and find out. The PNP will wipe your account overnight. The PNP, when they govern, they move interest rate upwards of 300% in some cases. They've done it before, and if given the opportunity, they will do it again.
And it's for this chapter, I think it's important that we continue because this opposition should lose worse than the one in 2020.
Well, I have no doubt that they will, you know. I might be just among the few that have that belief. Because if they entered 2020, guys, and they were not as popular as they are now, they did not have 50% of the completed projects now that they had in 2022. Well, they have 50% less completed projects in 2022 than they are now. If the leader himself is going to be more popular, and if at that stage we won 49-14, and if we're going into this election more popular than we were in 2020, why is it unreasonable for me to think that the GLP with an optimized workforce, an energized workforce, a workforce with the party has gone great length to make sure that they are recognized and they are motivated and they feel good and they feel appreciated. And that did not happen in 2020. That is happening now. Prime Minister is hugging up his workers, talking to them, appealing to them, rewarding them for their long service, all that good stuff. If it is that these things remains true, why is it that one thinks that I'm being overly ambitious by saying the GLP must increase the seat count to 52? I agree, but I just gave you two factors that could wipe that so-called stronger PNP out the door. And secondly, the PNP might appear in public to be a lot more unified than they were, but that's just public. The PNP has a serious problem within its rank. The only thing is that they have tried desperately to hold it together. Because make no mistake about it, the PNP seemingly quiet is not because they are united and they are following Marky G to the mountaintop. No, the problem is yes, that is it. It's all a show. And every good show I know always come to an end. Always come to an end.
The PNP are right back where they were in 2020 with Dr. Peter Phillips, if you were to calculate it like that. They were limping along, behaving as if they were together, but they were not. And they were going into an election divided, but without much cracks emerging for the outside world to see.
Right.
And that's where they are now. So they are nowhere good. And everybody know. They are nowhere good, and everybody know that.
Well, our duty is to continue, stay on message, and make the people understand.
We're bullish as Foresight say now.
Yes, young people, my brother. Young people, the 21 and 22-year-old who never understood exactly what was happening in the 1990s. We have a responsibility to remind them. We have to remind them of what the 1990s were.
I can't see what the PNP has presented enough.
Well, they haven't presented anything for us.
Why should I vote for PNP?
Because time come.
I can't come up with any reason.
Well, they tell you they have nothing. They say because time come.
It's quite clear that PNP is only relying on a scandal to get them in power. Right?
Say again? Yes, sir.
What are you using over YouTube? StreamYard?
Yeah, man. I'm live on. Yeah, if you go on the YouTube channel, you'll see it. There's a link there. If you want to join the discussion, I'm going to put a link.
If you use StreamYard, you know,
say again?
Are you using StreamYard? You're not using no software. Just use straight YouTube.
StreamYard.
Okay. Left a link down in the comments. We'll jump over there, mate.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna put the link in the comment section so you guys can hop over and join. But make no mistake about it, man. Young people in particular, Foresight and others. Young people who might be asking themselves the question, why can't I follow my auntie or my uncle or my grandfather and vote PNP? Those young people must understand that during their time, they have not instituted a single policy that was really beneficial to young people. Not one. They can't point to one. So you're dealing with a political party that overall, they really have no great plans on how to run the country. And they're proven that. It's the first time that any political party forming government or seek to form government can go to the people with a track record of performance. And it's only this government that can do that. And I said to you before, if we go into this election as popular as I'm saying we are, then what is going to stop us from securing 52 seats? That is all I'm saying. What is going to stop us from securing 52 seats?
As Carl the KC, when they run him survey, it is 1944 in favor of the JP.
Well, a 53 seat, I say. KC must know inside I bidding wake up.
Yeah, that's fine. He can hold his opinion. That's okay. I'm just saying to you that the GLP, in my view,
KC has been conservative with many of them, you know, at the same time.
That's what I said.
Right? Because some of those, some of the 19 are background seats, then can go either way.
I am not really even overly concerned about that because I don't have any seats now that I currently hold that the PNP can win.
Foresight.
That's the bottom line.
As I've said it a few times, neighbor didn't agree with me, but I will continue to say it, and we will be discussing it after the election. The 2020 election being the anomaly because of the state the election was held in. That election is going to change the landscape of elections going forward. And we are using old data and we are using the old profile of elections to judge the upcoming election. And after the election, we're going to prove that we were wrong. Well, not we, because I am not doing that. I am judging from this election going forward. 2020 changed the entire game. The entire game was changed in 2020. And the 18 new MPs, I don't see none we are going to lose. And the seats that used to be weather vane or battleground, they are no longer so. It is a new politics in Jamaica. The dynamics have changed. What has changed the dynamics? The performance of the government. For the first time, there's a government performing in all 15 parishes.
Well, protecting what I'll say though, I'll say this though, and maybe Chopper Media would know more about this. When I've always maintained, because at this point it's not about performance and whether the party is strong for me, it's a political organization. And I am convinced that once the political organization and the deal is good, then we won't lose any of those 18 seats. I think it now boils down to political organization. And if Chopper can shed some more light on that, as to how satisfied he is with the political organization, right?
Well, I've said it before, you know. I've said it before, based on my experience. I have said it before.
The only thing that can make a difference now.
I said it before, that based on my experience, I have never seen any other period in political history in the JLP that there is the level of organization that exists now. Has never existed in any other GLP political campaigning that I know of. I have never seen any
Another
more.
factor I want us to look at, a lot of those PNP seats, or what we call church JLP, would have won, and they are first time JLP MPs in them. We have to bear in mind that when those seats were won by these candidates, it wouldn't be the full JLP support that came out for them to win. Because when you're in a constituency that consistently vote PNP, right, you will have some persons who just give up and say, I'm not going to vote. But having seen that the seat can be won by JLP now, those votes will be coming out.
I think so too,
right? Right. So I don't see Rhoda Crawford getting less votes. I see she getting more. I don't see Tova Hamilton bringing out less votes. I see she bringing out more.
The political party has done enough to be re-elected government.
Exactly.
They have done enough to be re-elected.
These and Darman supporters or Darman persons in these constituencies that never used to participate. A lot of them now will have more reasons to participate. And which party you think is going to attract them? When a man will get water in a community for the last 4 decades, right? And then see, he's driving on a bad road for the last 4 decades. And the first time he has an MP now that is fixing these roads and turning on water in many of these parts. Who is he more inclined to vote for? He now has to vote. So those less votes.
And thus, why I said that so the organization is always the most important on election day.
Exactly.
That's why I'm telling you that the organization will be easier because the organization not going to change, you know. And then if you're encouraging, if encouragement sweeten labor for the workers, no, last night me or one woman sent this bed tell the Prime Minister she going to walk off the boot. No, because she feel appreciated. The difference now is more people are enthused to go support the party. So the organization, the run of them now, if you go nobody yard and a ball and pray and roll a ground and beg, it will be easier now to get out the vote.
Well, they still have to do protecting, but I understand what you mean.
Okay.
Right? There are some persons now, it's going to be easier for them because it's going to take less to convince them to come out.
See the road there? Pass your yard.
Exactly.
Turn on your pipe, Miss Mary. What you talking about?
Exactly. And there are certain, that black voters, the polls don't necessarily pick them up.
No, the poll now will pick them up.
That black voters, you know, that I think are more inclined, will be more inclined, right, to vote for the JLP. They don't necessarily come out before election and tell you how they're going to vote, you know.
And that's why we now use the old data going into this election. This election is going to be one standing on its own, and then going forward, we will be able to analyze data from this. Because if we're using old data with this new paradigm, because there's a paradigm shift, it is going to be risky because many people are going wrong. And I'm not going to do that. May I start with this election. After this election, then we will know what's happening in some states.
But was there any pollster in 2010 that predicted a 49 seats victory for the JLP?
No.
Okay.
Why? Only the Trinidad man, where the JLP use, him did say about 45. Warmington did say about 52. And the pollster did say about 45. So somewhere in the middle, they saw them did almost. But
none of the popular pollsters never predict a 49 seat, because what you find is happening, you know. Based on performance, you have some silent voters that comes out and they look at what is happening. Them now wear a green or orange shirt. And they only come out on election day.
Yes.
People will not talk about politics, not at all, you know. But on election day, they might come out. Them don't want to entertain a discussion about politics.
Yeah.
Right? And the polls are not going to pick them up. And I think that is why we were able to win so many of the seats. Some seats in 2020. Because the silent voters are more inclined to vote for the JLP.
Well, prepare yourself for an increase in the seat count. But the political party that we support, which forms the government today, in my view, I think a lot of you share the same view, would have done enough, or I may say more than enough, to be re-elected for a third term. I am predicting that the Jamaica Labour Party wins the next election, serve another term in office, and at the end of mute your mic, guys. And at the end of that period, we are going to see a murder rate down to probably 200 or 300. And I say to my friends who reside in the diaspora and other places, I wonder what frame of mind those dissidents, those persons who march in the United States, those persons like Rupert Francis, those persons like Finson Tavares, not Finson, but what Tavares is name? Those persons like former FBI agent, what's his name? I can't remember them name now. Them so far gone. Those persons like the Jamaican Carloses. Those persons like, what's his name? You know those guys who claim that they're a part of some organization that came to Jamaica to dictate to Dr. Chang and to dictate to our security personnel here, that based on the fact that they reside in the United States. Oh, yes, David Rattigan. Not David, sorry. Rattigan. Wilford Rattigan, yeah. And Rupert Francis and those persons. Where are they now? Those were the persons who came to Jamaica to present some idea that they have, which they believe would have been superior to what exists here in Jamaica. And make no mistake about it, folks. Take it from somebody who resides in the diaspora for many, many years. People who live in the diaspora for a long period of time. All right, let's not add anybody else because these folks doesn't understand what's going on. I was about to say to you that those persons who reside in the diaspora, I find that just by virtue of them living in the diaspora for an extended period of time, a lot of them believe that in of itself is superior to what exists in Jamaica. Let me say it again. A lot of persons who reside in the diaspora believe that just by virtue of them having that overseas experience, whether in Canada, the United States, England, Europe, wherever, it doesn't matter what condition, the condition in which they exist in those places. Right. They believe that whatever they say, whatever they do, and however they think is superior to what exists in Jamaica. It is on that basis that people like Wilfred Rattigan, people like Rupert Francis, and people like Nelson, and people like Jamaican Carlos, and all those persons. It is for those reasons why they put together some document, took a plane down to Jamaica to tell the Jamaican authorities how they should fight crime in Jamaica. They have developed a task force in the United States, a crime task force in the United States, headed by Rupert Francis and Wilford Rattigan, and many others are a part of that group. And they came to Jamaica. They met with Dr. Horace Chang. They met with the former Commissioner of Police and presented them with what they believe is the blueprint to reduce murders in Jamaica. Remember now, not one of those persons who sat on that committee and that group that came to Jamaica had any crime fighting experience. Not one. Rupert Francis was a captain in the military in Jamaica. Right? Wilfred Rattigan was an FBI agent in the United States. None of those two positions were equivalent to fighting crime in a country as unique as Jamaica. Remember now, Jamaica would have taken on several international crime fighters. We're talking about Amish, we're talking about Mark Shields, we're talking about several others. For many years, we've been taking international crime fighters who were not able, well, let me not say they were not able, they have contributed to where we are today. Because it's for those persons who came in and would have assisted in giving us the exposure in what we can do, what we can use, what is out there that has put us to where we are today. But I'm just simply saying to you, yes, I'm just simply saying to you that there's this mindset that once you reside outside of the jurisdiction of Jamaica, your thinking is superior to the persons on the ground in Jamaica.
Yes, yes.
And take it from me, I live in the diaspora. Take it from me, I thought so too. Yes, a lot of diaspora people believe that because them live a foreign, them know more than who they are Jamaica. Yes. That's why you have people like Wilfred Rattigan who thinks that he should come here and become commissioner, even though he's an American citizen. And he would bring more to the table than what the current commissioner can bring. Rupert Francis did not sell himself because he was a former JDF captain. They sold themselves because they reside in a foreign country and Jamaica, in their view, is Bacawal. Well, I told them this. I told them this long ago. I told Wilfred Rattigan. I told Rupert Francis. And I can stand here and say I proudly, I told you so. I told you so. That this country is going to turn around. And when it does, you're not welcome here. Simple. Not welcome. Rattigan, Carlos, Francis, Nelson, they should be placed on a list at the airport and should be declared persona non grata, not to enter this country ever again. Never. Those were individuals who took Jamaica's name and wipe it on the floor of New York City, wipe it on the floor in Florida, wipe it on the floor in Washington. Their names should be on a list at both international airports and every port of entry. Persona non grata. Do not enter this country. You're not welcome. You are not welcome. Because these are the persons, my friends, who thought that Jamaica was going to be stuck in the quagmire of high debt and high murders. They've never believed that we had the ability to pull ourselves out of it. And while I'm not here to celebrate and bust the champagne open yet, but I'm going to be grateful for the period that exists in Jamaica today when we are enjoying 42% reduction in murders.
It's not about reduction in murder, because they're not they are not happy about an achievement of which they are not a part, you know. So don't think that they are happy about the 42% reduction in murder.
I'm not expecting them to be happy about it. What I'm trying to say to them, Foresight, is that whether you're happy about it or you're not happy about it, we are not happy about you. And you should take away yourself. About that fact, I am not happy about them. My advocacy now is for those persons. And I'm talking about Wilford Rattigan.
I'm just reinforcing what you're saying.
Yes, I agree with you, my brother.
For them, it's about themselves, right? It's not even about the outcome or the reduction in crime, because if that were the case, then they would be trumpeting that right now, 42% reduction in crime, and they're happy that
they're not happy for that, because what they're about is their own self, their own self-gratification. They came here, they flew on a plane, they said they paid their money and they put documents together and they came down and they presented their case to Dr. Chang, and Dr. Chang said, no way, Jose, what you're bringing here, we have way beyond that already. Yeah? Yeah. And they didn't like that. That's why they took to the street and launched a broadside against Jamaica. These guys are to be declared persona non grata.
Yes, Chopper. Same way, sir.
Them name must be published at every port of entry and not to be allowed back in Jamaica. And to whom am I speaking? I'm talking about Wilford Rattigan, Francis, and Nelson, and the Jamaican Carlos, and the other one from over Portmore. What name? Wayne Lonesome. They must be barred from this country.
Wayne can't travel back to Jamaica.
I don't know, and I really hope he cannot. They're not supposed to come back here. They're not supposed to enjoy the sacrifice that people like myself stood up for. Let me enjoy it. Stay in America. Stay in Canada. Stay wherever you are. You don't believe in Jamaica. So when we have 42% reduction in murders now, and Jamaica is calming down, we're not busting the champagne open yet. But we're going to appreciate where we are. And we're going to celebrate where we are. But because there's way more work to be done. But I can only see it getting better. And when Jamaica goes down in history this year, at the end and the close of this year, under the Jamaica Labour Party, and we're able to bring murders down to a good 70%. Yeah? 70%. Where we can walk the street again nicely and feel good. And feel good. And Rattigan, Francis, and all of these guys must take plane and come back down and come drink champagne from beach. Eh? They must never come back to this country. Persona non grata. Do not enter. There must be a list created for all of them who drag Jamaica's name. Washington, in Florida. They went to the consulate and they carry on. They were the ones who caused Jamaica to get this travel advisory.
Hold on the chopper. Big up, while you're at it, big up Mr. Vegas. Mr. Vegas is a national hero, has 100 lives.
National hero where that is concerned. I wish he was on. National hero where that is concerned.
We knew it was more politically motivated, and they just did it under the guise that they care about Jamaica, but it was more politically motivated.
They must not come to this country. They must not come to this country.
Jamaica, you care about what happened. Any good way happening in Jamaica, irrespective of
fans that everybody knows say hatred thing and vexation thing.
Vexation because Dr. Chang didn't give them big contract to come out Jamaica money like the PNP would have done. Right? They were upset because Doc didn't sign a big contract and give it to them for them to nyam out Jamaica little fortune. Right? Somebody's phone is going off the chain there.
Then come on live every night same way and find fault.
Yeah? They must be declared persona non grata, man. Do not enter.
That's why they were trying to force an early election no protected because they know they know the direction and they know that this is coming up. When the achievements of the government, right, are becoming more undeniable.
That's
right.
Force an early election.
Yes. So they want to force an early election now because more them attack and the more the government achieve. So it show them up more than show up the government.
But that's why Andrew we get them out, man.
Yeah. Because he knows that the foundation is being laid, right, for the achievements that we enjoy today. They want to get him out before this come to the fore, right?
Them people hate Jamaica, man. They hate Jamaica. Them for go away. Them not even for call the name Jamaica out of them mouth.
Look for them to talk a personal gains them a look, you know.
Yeah, man, I see a walking man them a look, brother.
Position and big money and
the one there.
And next thing we have to make the electorate understand is the comrades, they think only about themselves.
Personal
themselves. They present themselves as the opposite of who they really are. So when I tell you about them, not now for Jamaica and JLP, I think about JLP don't care about the poor and only care about the rich. That's what the comrades do. The comrades are the ones who, when you have comrade, them set up them comrade friend and enrich them comrade friend at the expense of the masses. They are the ones that do that. And them
that's the reason why I'm taking on. That's why the reason why I'm taking on a mission to teach the history of the both political movement. The People's National was established to help people. It was not established to help people because in 9 time we must have fear club go to Norman. Norman never bought into the idea. And when Norman sees a political party thing look popular because Buster gets so forward when he run go farm thing there. And that's why Norman buy into the idea can see it as a way to capture the minds of people.
Can you imagine?
So People's National Party was
I don't know if you guys remember, you know, man.
No, yes.
I don't know if you guys remember, you know. But these guys took Jamaica's reputation on the street of New York. These guys took Jamaica's reputation on the street of Florida. They took it to Washington, D.C. and they spoke about some of the nastiest things about Jamaica, knowing very well what we were doing and what is being done. It's not like these guys don't know. They're very much aware of where the government is going, what the government is doing, the projects and the process and the initiatives that are in train. And they went on the street with Jamaican flag, busing people from state to state to trample on the flags of Jamaica in an international country. They did it in Canada. The government blocked them from going on the streets and they took it to a ballroom under the disguise that they were having some meeting in a hotel ballroom, and they sat in that ballroom and chastised Jamaica. They're not welcome here. They're not welcome here. So when Jamaica, which is the paradise it is, become the beacon again of this side of the world, they're not welcome here. Rupert Francis, Wilford Rattigan, Nelson, Carlos, Wayne Lonesome, all of them not welcome here. Must not be seen on this rock. And I said with no fear of apology, no fear of contradiction, they must not be seen here. They don't believe in Jamaica. These are people who have gone abroad for 20, 30 years. They have not contributed a damn thing to Jamaica. And you ask them to show what is your contribution, they tell you about remittance. You're not sending remittance to the consolidated fund. You're sending it to your bad-getting family member.
So they see Andrew spend money, man. They want to my food.
And walk and tell people they must have write poison pen letter and they must write to this agency and they must write to this agency and that the agency. That's what Rattigan and them sat on public live and discuss.
Chopper, hold on the chopper. You know the thing that really puzzled me, and up to today they puzzle me? While this man was praising himself, being an agent in charge of a region in the FBI, me I said to myself, say, hold on. So if 99% of the gun them were killed Jamaicans come from the country where you were, and you're so deep in the US.
But remember, I challenged them on that, you know. Remember, I challenged them on that, you know. I asked them. I said to Mr. Francis, Rupert Francis and I spoke several times for hours here and I on the phone. And I said, Mr. Francis, you're a decorated former military captain in Jamaica. Why are you allowing people like Wayne Lonesome, who can't even sign him damn name? Why are you allowing these people to drag you into the mud? Yeah? I said, why are you allowing them to do that? He doesn't even know. He wasn't even the author of the letter. Well, it came out because when they had the fight, when they had the big fight, it came out that Francis was not the author of the letter. It was really Rattigan who was pulling the strings there. Right? It came out. But I'm simply saying to myself, why would you, as a man who have served their country, Rattigan never served Jamaica for a day. He never served Jamaica for one day.
Not even ice cement, he never buy
right?
Jamaica.
He don't own a piece of land of Jamaica. He's not a Jamaican, he's an American. And he applied twice to become police commissioner. And he wasn't even qualified to be shortlisted because the job requires a Jamaican to do it. And he was never a Jamaican. But he believed that simply because he resides overseas and he has FBI behind his name, he's more qualified than any other persons we have in Jamaica. And that's a misconception about persons who reside in the diaspora. We always believe that simply because we live in the United States, we live in England, we live in Canada, we are somewhere in Europe, that our thinking and our exposure is above that of Jamaica. We have no confidence in the people of Jamaica. We have no confidence in our leader. None of those persons we saw out there champing on the Jamaican flag believe that we had the ability to reduce poverty by 50%. They didn't know that we could bring murders down to by 42%. They didn't know that we had the capacity to lower the debt to GDP to somewhere in the region of 60 what now? 64? They don't believe. They don't believe unemployment down to record low from 16.5% to 3%. They didn't believe. They don't believe in Jamaica. So why should we sacrifice to stay here, support our government, support our country, stand up for Jamaica while these bastards come here to celebrate? They shouldn't be seen here, not even as a tourist. They should not come here, not even as a tourist. Yes.
Why is it so easy to get people to believe the things that they have no evidence to support and disbelieve the things that they have so much evidence to support? In other words, people will tell you and question the unemployment rate, 3.7%. Oh, we're not sure about that, even though we have evidence.
Look, the few people who will say that to you, Forsyth.
The 42% reduction in murder rate, we have evidence to support that. But some people, to some extent, choose not to believe that, but they will quicker to believe the Usain Bolt.
Listen. Oh.
They will be quicker to
Forsyth.
The rumors about illicit enrichment.
When you Forsyth, stop right there, Forsyth. Stop from my brethren. When you repeat those things, even in the context that you're repeating it, you're giving it legs.
All right, cool.
You see the 10 persons who believe that murders are down 42%? Work with them. You see those who continue to hold on to the propaganda of the PNP? Don't waste your time on them. Because they are the minority in Jamaica. Believe when I tell you that. They are the minority. Let's not focus on them. because there's only a few of them out there. The few out there who hold on to the PNP propaganda, we can't change their mind again. Continue to spread the good words of what is happening in Jamaica. The PNP fly a kite on several topics, none of which caught any fire, none of which caught any root. Right? The Jamaican people reject those claims. The Jamaican people rejected Mark Golding and the propaganda that he spreads. The Jamaican people in the diaspora reject people like Rattigan. They reject Jamaican Carlos. They reject Rupert Francis. They reject them. That's why they can't get any more money. They can't get any money that they're fighting over the $2 or them collect at some function in Canada.
They find the paper bag of money already.
Precisely. So they're not getting the support, guys, because over time, the truth that you press to earth, it is always going to rise. And what has happened is that because the PNP has built up a political campaign on lies and propaganda, it cannot withstand any pressure. And when people like you on social media, for example, start to apply pressure, you realize what happened. Just take, for example, guys, within the last 6 months or so, notice every PNP that comes on to a live discussion, whether on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever, TikTok. Just notice this for a moment. Whenever you ask them to provide the evidence to their argument, it is one of two things. They're either going to tell you how many strings make up your mother, or they're going to disappear off the program. Am I lying?
We saw that tonight.
Exactly. Because once you start to question them and asking them to justify their position on the issue, they become defensive, one, and two, they're going to disappear. Because truth pressed to earth will always rise. Folks, listen to me carefully. A year ago, many labor rights would say to me, PNP most of all, but there were labor rights in there too, who would have said to me, Perimeter Road Canyon. You remember that? I was fighting, I was swimming upstream. I felt like I was fighting a losing battle. When I keep saying, even to my own people, that performance must be on the ballot. People say performance never win yet, and they can't win. But look at where we are today. Look at where we are today. Performance is on the top of the ticket going into the next election. The JP has nothing else to campaign on except a track record of performance. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that? Because we had...
Are we seeing a culture change though?
Yes. And that culture shock or culture change must be attributed to Andrew Michael Holness.
Yes.
He changed the game. Brethren, think about this. Go back into the archives. Go and check the history of politics in Jamaica and see if you can think of any other period where we are going to a general election here and the budget is red and the budget is not loaded with stimulus to induce votes for an election. Think of any other period that you would have seen us going into an election and you don't see that coming out in the budget. Well, Dr. Damian King, in one of his tweets on Twitter, said when he watched the budget presentation by the first female finance minister, he was sitting there waiting for the usual sweets that would be presented in a budget going into an election year. Dr. Damian King says he's disappointed because he's still waiting and has not seen any such sweetener in the budget. Because the GLP government decide that hell or high water, they are not going to present a budget that is merely for election campaigning. They're going to continue on the path of fiscal discipline and prudent management of the country's economy. People like Francis, people like Rattigan, people like, I shouldn't even be giving them any mileage over here, But all those guys, they didn't believe that we could do it. They had no confidence in the Jamaican people. They had no confidence in the Jamaican people. They thought that we were wishy-washy and we would just roll over and play dead. When Mark Golding launched his political campaign, folks, and he put together this campaign protecting Sir Green, everybody. He put together a campaign that was built on propaganda and lies. And the minute those lies started to face scrutiny, they busted wide open. And where are they now? Where are they now? The entities and agencies that were aiding and abating Mark Golding on his political witch hunt, where are they now? Where's Greg Christie today? Where is the former head of the CIC? Where is he today? Both have demitted office with eggs all over their faces because their political underhand behavior has been exposed. Where is Greg Christie today? Where is Greg Christie who tweeted that there's an investigation into the PM, knowing very well that he has the communication that says that's not true. And he refused. Instead, he doubled down and retweeted it several times. Where are they now? Where are they now? So those diaspora people, I am bitter towards them. Why? Because they were supposed to be Jamaicans. They were supposed to be people who protect this country. And instead, they went out on a limb to destroy Jamaica. Simply because they did not get what they wanted, guys. They wanted a position. They wanted a contract to be consultant on security matters. Wilfred Rattigan, who has no such experience. Yeah? Rupert Francis, who had no such experience in crime fighting. And he wanted to be given a consultancy contract so he could rip from the coffers of Jamaica, residing in the United States. They must not be seen in Jamaica. Not even on the beach in Ocho Rios. Not even on the beach in Ocho Rios. Stay where you are. Let the people who fight for this country enjoy it. They should not come here. Take your vacation money to some other island. We don't need it. We don't need a penny from them.
We don't need it.
Take your money, Mr. Rattigan, Francis, Carlos, Nelson, All of you, take your money to some other island. We don't need it. We don't need a penny from you here. Take it somewhere else. You're not welcome here. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. But let's just say like it is PNP, all of them false narrative. If you give them time, one thing that the Prime Minister teaches us that patience is a virtue. And if we give the PNP time or give them enough rope, they will end up hanging themselves. Because even them leader run around and campaigning and using Bolt's money, right? And advocating that how when him become whatever, God forbid, he's going to put plans and legislation in place so Bolt get back all of his money, blah, 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 blah. Right? Only today, Usain Bolt is advocating that people choose Jamaica. Are these people shame? They don't have no form of embarrassment in that. Why not them born? They don't suffer from that stigma of being embarrassed and shame. They will always put themselves on a limb, and the limb ever break, and them end up fall on them face.
Couldn't even turn up at a man's father's funeral. And how it look now, you run with that narrative, and when you look, the PNP, right, is greeting the Usain and Usain Bolt, all smiles, shaking hands together, right? I think that blatant disrespect to the intelligence of the Jamaican people. And this is what I don't like about Man Bowling, because he is so blatant in his disregard for the intelligence of the Jamaican people that it just shows that he thinks very little of us, right? He's not even a good pretender. He's not even trying to hide his hand and trying to hide the ways in which he's trying to deceive us. He expects us to believe him and to overlook it, right? Even when it's so naked. I can't respect a man like that. And then what's sad is to see so many of our other Jamaicans running behind this man. Because I'm telling you, and a lot of people might not believe this. If I was a PNP supporter, I would sit this election out, and I say it all the while. Mark Bowling couldn't be my leader.
Well, we'll see how this is gonna fit. Linford Maxwell, I see you have some very choice word in the YouTube channel there. If you want to be a part of the conversation, and if you feel like you have a point to defend, and you can defend the PNP's cause, then do so in a respectful way. Because if you continue with any additional expletives over here, you're going to be banned, you're going to be barred, you're going to be kicked out. So that's just a warning for you, my brother. If you want to have a discussion, feel free. You can click the link, come in the box, and you can have a discussion. But if you continue on the path with those disrespectful comments down there, you'll be just kicked the hell out. Just like that, eh? Oswald Miller, big up yourself. Bridgemar, good to see you as well. Diana Pattison, good to see you. Who else we have here? Miss Facey, good to see you. Cornell, Anthony Van Reel, all the good old Chops Media people are here. Eh? Big up yourself, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And our friends over here, as usual, on TikTok is in the building. We have Foresight is in the building. HR Guru is here. 100 Live, Protecting JA. And my good friend, my brother, Mivy is in the building. Mivy, what on, man? How you do?
General, I listen to them.
Yeah, man. Those.
We must let in the guy them and lock them up, man.
No, man, we don't want them here, man. The jail, we don't even need them in jail here, man.
Remember, I said aim is what they call it, derision and treason them committing up. And the books, we can revive what the conviction is in it. You know what the conviction for treason and derision? It's hanging.
Yeah, but the problem is, if we were to arrest these guys, we're going to have to feed them. And we really don't want to feed them.
Not even jail food them not.
No, we don't want to spend $1 on them. Let them stay out there. Let them go to hell. Let them go to hell where they belong. These guys drag Jamaica through the mud. Hi, Bridgemar, how you doing?
None of that can trick me to get my vote. None. Can't trick me for fool to get my vote.
Yeah. But you have to understand, guys. These are not people who believe in Jamaica, you know. The folks who believe in Jamaica are the ones who are here. And as the Prime Minister alluded to last night when he was in Northeast St. Elizabeth, he said he's happy that there are so many labor rights out there now who are not afraid. And he remember the days when labor rights were quite timid to face the PNP because there have always been an aggressive set of people. Look at in this chat right now. There's a Lenford Maxwell in the chat. And all that can come from his mouth. Now he's a PNP defending his party. Nothing is wrong with defending your political party. But all that can come out your mouth is a bunch of expletives. And it is simply because your vocabulary is quite narrow. That's why you're not even able to articulate yourself except to curse and carry on. Yeah? But I'm just simply saying, folks, that there are some of our people, maybe, who resides outside of Jamaica. And just by virtue of that, they believe that their thinking is superior to those who resides in Jamaica. I lived in the diaspora for many years. And I can understand exactly what they are saying. Because I, at some point, used to believe that my thinking is superior to those on the ground. Until I decide that, you know what? Let me keep my mouth shut and go on the ground, go see what's happening. And when you start to travel on the ground in Jamaica, meeting people, talking to people, you recognize somebody's echoing there. I don't know who it is. You recognize that what exists in the United States and in Canada and England and Europe and all over is totally different from what exists in Jamaica. When Rupert Francis and Wilford Rattigan and them put together some document and came to Jamaica to dictate to our security folks here that they have a plan how to reduce murders in Jamaica. And when they were told that what you are presenting to us, we are 100 steps ahead of that.
And an insult to them that. They take it as an insult.
That is what triggered that broadside against the government all over the world. It's because the government failed to do what previous PNP administration would have done, which is to hire them as consultants and rape the coffers of this country to pay them while they sit in some lavish office in the United States collecting taxpayers' money here in Jamaica and still putting on the dole in America. And we decide that we're not doing it. We decide that we're not going to allow them to scam us. Right? Because what Rattigan and Francis wanted to do is really tantamount to scamming, you know. Mm-hmm. That's what it really came down to. And I'm not afraid of them. They threaten to, I tell you how many times they threaten to sue me. I'm going to tell them all the while. Me publish my address and tell them where to come in Florida if they want me. If you want me in Florida, you can get me in Florida. If you want me in Atlanta, you can get me in Atlanta. They know where I'm at. If you want me in New York, you can get me in New York. But they failed to show up. They didn't show up. So I'm hoping that they will meet me someday in the States. But not in Jamaica because they're not welcome here. They're not welcome here. When this election is completed and concluded, they should be placed on a list at every port of entry. Persona non grata. Do not enter here. Leave.
Welcome. And you know, chaps, I do share the same sentiment about the individuals. Can the person mute, please mute? There's an echo. Yeah, share the same sentiment of the person, that the perspective that the people that live in the diaspora have of the citizens in Jamaica. It is alarming, and they need a wake up call. Them things say they're more advanced and they're more wealthy. Them things say they're more in every other aspect. Them have a better this and better that, and it's quite not real. It's not the reality. And they can feel when offended, when challenged in any regard, right? And this is one of the things that fuels my patriotism towards the Jamaican Labour Party and this Andrew Holness administration, is that the man not attached to none of the camaraderie that we would have, right? The man is his own individual, no two personal, no secret for him. He never do this when him did that nobody, him not linked to them system. Him not a friend with the posse. He and she can't beg him a favor because he knows I did do this for you, so you have to do this for me, kind of vibes. The man is of his own independent nature, and he can dictate to himself based upon right principles and good attitude that portray. If him say I'm going to do something, nobody can say no because at this XYZ. There's no middleman. There's no one next to Andrew Holness dictating to him. Obviously, there's people that get around him circle with challenging, but nobody not gonna dictate to him based upon wrongdoings, right? And that's one of the real reasons why I may celebrate the appointment of Andrew Holness so much.
Thank you, my brother.
Him can tell a next man no, and the next man can say XYZ. Me have this a secret affair, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. So I hope you will lock the entry at the ports as a logistics man. I hope you will ensure that the ports are covered, and wherever these guys are seen, they are sent back on the ship or on the plane.
Chopper.
Yeah, man.
I have a big brother living in New York, right? Him is a 6-figure collecting man, see?
Mm-hmm.
And him wife too, see? And the life for me live at Jamaica, them can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
The life for me living at Jamaica is like our living standard higher.
Way higher.
For me view, some things that we do down and so.
Mm-hmm.
Some things that we have down and so.
Jamaica paradise compared to anywhere in the world.
It's amazing. Amazing, virgin. I'm going to tell you this right now. But the PM are going with, and him crew are going with. Remember, so we don't have no oil, we don't have no gold, we don't have no platinum, we don't have no silver. Right? We don't have no, we don't have none of them the type of resources. But look at the things that when they happen. In a time like this when the world have challenges. The world have challenges and all of a first world country are broken. The Germans, the England, the USA, the Canada, and our little country with almost 3 million people in it. We are do so well so till we can get tax back.
Never seen before, eh?
We are do so well so till you can buy. That's why even my tax dollar, I tell you, I proudest moment now where the man them buy bus and poor people can go up on bus and it is subsidized and them stuff there. The little youth them can go up on their own transportation. And it's not a figment of my imagination, it's something tangible. When we move around all in a St. James, we see fire station, $500 million. We set up a couple of man in there that talk about how tile lift. So, where you were before you drop through the floor, then can fix back that. You know what I mean? Hey, man, tell her. You see this reduction in poverty, in addition to all that is happening, right? It's giving the Pnp a lot of headache.
because they can no longer lie about it that people are poor. And the lived experience of people, right, improving much faster than they can tell the lies and get people to believe it, right? And what is going to happen? PNP knows. PNP is not only thinking about this election, you know, right? What PNP is thinking about, if they lose this one, then it's going to be harder for them to win subsequent elections.
Yes, man.
Somebody says shame on a load, but it brought neck. Don't know what that means.
Exactly. Because after at the pace at which Andrew is developing the country, when the lies and the prosperity and the attempt to hide.
Bridgemar, you want to join us? Anybody on this channel want to join? I'm going to post the link in the chat. If you guys want to join the conversation on the YouTube side here, please feel free to do so. The link is in the chat, and I'm going to see if I can pin it.
To Jamaica, right across Jamaica.
Yes.
Doesn't seem like I'm able to pin it.
Sit down now and can't wait
for
that development to come in their parish.
Because the tangibilities are there. I was more
exactly.
I said that the other day, that the tangibilities are there, and this set a ripple effect through people's mind, whereby it's not like
Novlet Smith Brown, how are you? Blessings. If you guys want to join the conversation, please feel free to do so. The link is in the chat.
And it have that impact from them just seeing it, that's just an opening,
All right. You know,
right? When it's going to get even more serious and become a bigger threat to the PNP, when you have the ribbies now, right? Start something, begin operation.
Alexandra, my friend, how you doing, my brother? How is New York? I trust that New York is doing well, right?
When those businesses are in operation, right? Chop up not hearing, if we are supposed to hear, we're not hearing.
My talk on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Right.
I don't chop on.
No man, I was starting chopper. But anyway, when people start live the reality now of the urban center.
Yeah man, it's cool. I know New York is cool.
The urban center. Start, you know?
But it's good to have you, man. We're back on the YouTube channel. We're gonna do this more often now,
You know, enjoy the
than we were
start enjoying it.
a few moments ago. But share the live. Let's see if we can rack the numbers up to at least hit the 100 mark, no?
It's also currently
Now, good to see you. Shelly, how are you? Good to see you, Shelly. Who else is here? Royal Flat Bar, big up yourself, Manchester. Savage, big up, good to see you. Welcome, Joseph. Good to see you as well. Alston, we come. How you doing? Good to see you. Curtis, Latibadir, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Carnell. And everybody, big up yourself on the YouTube channel. We're at 96. Are you gonna push it over to 100? Beg some tops over on the TikTok channel. Now bring us up to at least a 50K now, man, please. So we can keep the live, spread the word, so more persons can join us. If everybody on the live, what about 170? 100? Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, man, go ahead. You have the floor. Yeah, man, loud and clear.
Is a man when talk as if, him fully, utilize some of I'm gonna say, some of the main topic them. But the main topic you may expect you to talk about is the conduction of election. So you talk like, election run and who will win and win and everything I go done. But to the prospect them will glad for a long time. Remember, say, 37% of people vote.
the last election. What kind of developments are going on right now to attract people and that you can get 50% or more? What are people? You know, makes sense to say you're prime minister now with 37% of people. That is a basic knowledge where everybody should have got. You can't prime minister for 37% of people will vote.
So let me ask a question. So the last election we had.
Are you not? I mean, calling right the call, you know. I mean, I try to put something to you that you can pick up from when I say. You don't get nothing from me yet. Me just give you a little synopsis of when me.
We can tell you something though, Bob. Stick up in there, Bob. Bob, stick up in. Bob, stick up in. It's not a monologue, man. It's a dialogue. So if you say something, I think it is prudent for me to interject. And I think,
We not listen to you for a long time, so give me at least 5 minutes.
No, I'm not give 5 minutes. No, don't do that. We're gonna have a discussion. Let me tell you what can happen in 5 minutes. If I were to sit back here and allow you to speak for 5 minutes, and you were speaking untruth, for example, not saying you are, I'm just saying, for example, you were speaking untruth, you were lying, or you were spreading propaganda. So I'm going to give you my platform for 5 minutes to speak, and just out of courtesy allow you to spread propaganda, not over my dead body.
No.
But go ahead, Bob. I'm listening.
What percentage I lost voters?
Jamaica since 1980 election has suffered low voter turnout for many years. Low voter turnout is not something new. It has been with us for a minute now. I think, though, going into this election, because there is so much at stake, one, and because the government has been able to produce so much, because the government is going into the election with a high level of performance and achievement, I think it will trigger a much higher voter turnout in this election. That's my view, based on what I am reading.
Well, I anticipate the same thing. I anticipate some more people will vote in this election.
Yes.
Based upon one thing. I don't pinpoint nothing specific.
It should be interpreted as higher voter turnout will benefit in the political part or the usual opposition or them something what them usually say. I don't think we can use this higher voter turnout to make the traditional
high voter turnout was never ever traditionally beneficial to the opposition. It is one election in Jamaica's history that has utilized that formula, and I think we carry that conversation throughout the 1990s. But 1980 was the only time that a high voter turnout really benefited the opposition, which at the time was the JLP.
Right.
We have not had any, because you cannot use the 1990s was not even a good yardstick to measure Jamaica's election performance, because that period of elections under Percival James Patterson had a lot of flaw to it. A lot of questions
True.
needed to be answered. But go ahead, Bob. I don't want to cut you off too much. Go ahead.
You see, we are going to have a conversation, so we prepare for you. So listen to what I say.
Yes.
They say, with the kind of developments we are going,
Yes.
to attract the voters to the next election, what kind of expectation do you think the voter turnout is going to be? I say it's going to go over 50. I say it's going to reach a maximum in the past 10, 15, 20 years we are talking about. But what really are going to attract the people and they go vote? And that one you to tell me. I have the post.
Well, I just told you that I expect that the voter turnout is going to be higher than what it was in 2020. I don't want to put a percentage on it, but I know if we were to look at what we had in 2020, which was what? What was the 2020 voter turnout percentage in Jamaica?
38%.
How much? 38%. Right. So if we were to go up to a 45% in this election, I think that would have been an improvement. The government is on a campaign to sort of get people more engaged in voting. I believe that based on what is at stake, huh? And I just told you, I'm going to say it again. The main attraction going into this election is the fact that for the first time, on both political sides, whether JLP, PNP, or no P, for the very first time, you have a government that can go to the people and can present a track record of performance. When the PNP ruled between 1989 and 2007, not one single election were they able to go to the people and campaign based on performance. Every single election that PJ Patterson won was based on promises of better for the people and better that has never been delivered. Every single election. And go back, don't take my word for it, go back into the archives and tell me one PNP manifesto. Create what? No, but I want you to, but hold on. If you believe, Bob, if you believe that anything at all that I am saying is incorrect, I will give you enough time to go on your phone, go on your laptop, go on your computer, and fact check me now.
Well, on the Bob, well, on the chopper, Bob, we can try a little bit to the question we asked, Bob. All right, so you want me I said to you now, Bob. This election coming up is going to be one of the realest and purest data we're going to get from an election. And there were two other times that the numbers were real. They were real numbers. And the first time the numbers were real was in 1962.
Yes.
When Jamaicans were encouraged to go to the polls because they had just rejected Caribbean Federation.
Yes.
And we became independent by ourselves. The second time that the numbers were real was in 1980. When the people were tired of Michael Manley and they decided that they were going to go to Edward Seaga. This time, I believe the numbers are going to be real data numbers because the people are actually seeing a government that has performed and they do not want to go back to what it was in the 90s. So they are going to come out. I believe the number, because you asked for a number, I believe the number this time is going to be around about 47%. People are going to go to the polls. No.
Good night, Pam. Good night. How you doing? Hey, Val Rose, what's going on?
Because I put a lot of thought into it.
Val Rose, my sweetheart. How are you, Mama?
That the 2025 election is going to be a reset for elections in Jamaica. And it is going to be a very important reset. Now, when we consider the 90s, why we really cannot talk about the people going to the poll and the numbers dwindled down to one time, I think 35-36% at one point. Even when we had constituencies voting at 115 and 120%. Because a lot of criminality, ballot boxing all come from underneath man bed those days. But this time, I believe with the system being all cleaned up and all, the numbers are going to be some of the realest numbers that we're going to use going forward. So the people are going to go to the polls, Bob, because the government has performed. The government has performed. And that's a single answer to that.
We're feeling that we also feeling that protecting. You can feel it protecting.
It's there. It's just. Yeah, I remember telling you something before. The PNP asking, call it, Andrew, call it. They're not going to be happy after the election. But they have to do that because it's
yeah, you don't say what you say already, but hear me now. I don't want to be biased. I mean, I want to take when up for Andrew. I mean, I don't vote. Anytime 50% of the people vote, especially in this election coming, you won't have no Andrew.
So let me ask you a question. While you're at that, no. I'm saying to you, I am the host of the program. And I reminded you gently. I am saying to you, I'm asking you a very... Sir, I'm asking you a simple... Bob, simple question for you. You said something and I'm challenging your argument. No. You're not going to get a chance. You're not going to get a... Sir, you will not get a chance to posit an argument here that you will not be challenged on. You said that if 50% of the people vote, there will not be... You said it. You just said it. I'm asking you a question now. On that basis, I'm asking you a question. Why would you not want an Andrew Holness?
No, because you're not going to get 50% of the people vote.
No, so, all right, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Can I ask you a question, sir? Are you a supporter of the People's National Party? I'm just asking a simple question, man. You don't have to get upset. Just ask a question. All right, let me ask you this. Okay, good, fine. So you're neutral. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Huh?
I have ways of means to attract things.
I'm just... Hold on, man. Bob, slow down, man. So we're going to have a conversation now because you say you're not a PNP and you're neutral, right? You're not PNP and you're not GLP. You're not join a party. You're not a supporter of either, right?
You add boom to your room with that drink.
No drink, man. So Bob, so hold on now. Let me hear you, Bob. Bob, I hear you. I hear you, Bob. But can I ask you this question? Bob, I ask you. I just told you a while ago that I just told you. Bob, stop. Bob, Bob, stop. Bob, Bob, you have to stop, man. You have to listen, man. You have to listen. The dialogue. So, Bob, hear me now. One of the things that I'm disappointed with you guys is that you're so ashamed of the past performance of the PNP, and you're also ashamed of the fact that the current leadership within the PNP doesn't have the capacity to present themselves in a good way so that you can feel proud. It's like I'm proud to say I'm a Labourite and I support the Jamaica Labour Party and I support the government. I'm expecting that you as a PNP should not come here under the disguise of being neutral when you're a PNP supporter. Nothing is wrong with you being a PNP supporter, my brother. We can still have a conversation. But here's a question I want to ask you though, Bob, because there are some things that we have to flesh out now in the discussion. Unmute your mic. I don't want to feel like I'm muzzle you, but we can't speak over each other. And the truth is, if I am the host, then I'm going to use the privilege, as the host. Now, I want to ask you, Bob, respectfully, and you can unmute your mic, Bob, because I can't unmute you. You have to unmute yourself. I want to ask you this question respectfully, Mr. Bob, right? Based on what you are seeing now in Jamaica, and I'm going to give you 3 things, and you tell me yes or no if you agree or you disagree. Murders are down 42%, the highest in 25 years. Unemployment down from 16.5% to 3. What we at now? 3.7%. The lowest in Jamaica's history. And just to top it off, poverty cut from 16.2 to 8.2, 16.7 to 8.2%. Those three, do you believe that those are tangible achievement for any government, whether JLP, PNP, or no P? Bob? No, man, come back, man. Unmute your mic, Bob. You pressed the wrong button. Unmute your mic and answer. Do you believe that those three things are tangible achievement by this government? And the truth is, by any government at all.
By any government, that is good.
Huh? Hold on, man. I don't hear you.
I say yes.
You say yes.
Those three things are three prominent things where anybody go around. No, say his government or government or whosoever.
Right. So my follow-up question to that is, if those three things, and again we can also throw into the mix the unprecedented level of infrastructure development in Jamaica, right? And you agree that there are significant amount of development going on in Jamaica, wrong or right?
Yes.
Good. So those four things. So we have four things. We have. I might have to squeeze another one in there too. We might have to squeeze another one in there. Just call it 5, right? So we have 4 already. We're gonna squeeze one more in there and call it 5. We're gonna squeeze the debt to GDP down from 128% to 60. What we at, guys? 64 or 67? 65.3%. So we have 5 things. Debt to GDP down, unemployment down, poverty down, and murder rate down. And you want to squeeze NIR to make it 6? NIR at unprecedented level. So with those 6 major pillars, Bob, with those 6 major pillars, 6 major pillars, are you saying that the Jamaica Labour Party government does not deserve a 3rd term?
Well, if you deserve a 3rd term, you're supposed to bring out at least 50.
May I ask you a simple question? Yeah, you're dancing around, Bob. Bob, come back, man. Bob, slow down. Bob, hold on, man. Hold on. We don't want you to answer me in a noise. We want it to be clear. The things that I outlined to you a while ago, and you're honest, you're a level-headed person, it seemed to me. Do you believe that hold on, Bob, man. Do you believe that based on those 6 things that we spoke about a while ago, do you believe that that is sufficient for the JLP government to return for a 3rd term? Yes or no?
Any government at all will carry out them farmer procedure and adapt the good qualities that when people want, will be able to retain a 3rd point.
So this government has done it. The JLP did it, Bob. Bob, it's not any government. It is the JLP. Bob, it is the JLP that is in office now.
Will they able, with all that you talk a while ago, will they able to get 50%?
Bob, we can get to the 50%. We're going to get to the... I said yes already. I'm going to say yes again. Yes, they are able to get to 50%. So, Bob...
And I say with all those that you talk, you should have get more than 50 right now.
Okay, good.
I'm sure no say right now 45% of the people are not gonna vote for this election.
Oh, you're sure that?
It have to be more than 45% of the people.
You're gonna speak for yourself. That is a hyperbole.
Hold on the chopper. Bob. Hold on the Bob.
Yes.
Bob. You ever vote yet? You ever vote?
About 1980, 1981. We don't vote again, bro.
Okay.
Nah, man, me not pay my fare to come to Jamaica for go home.
Oh, so you're not living in Jamaica, Bob?
Crazy. Then I tell you, but you don't want to convince me. You can't convince
No,
me.
I don't want, Bob. No, Bob. I tell you what. Can I say something to you, Bob? I would prefer, Bob. I would prefer convince you, Bob. I would prefer convince you to stay away from the poll. Bob, I would prefer convince you to stay away from the poll than encourage you to come and vote. Because you are based on your political, based on how politically tribal you seem to be undercover, I would prefer for you to stay away from the poll.
Yes, Grata, chaps. What is happening is that this is a major talking point. This is a major talking point amongst the People's National Party representative and bloggers, that they have the perspective that the numbers are in their favor in terms of the amount of voters that they have. And we won both elections because they did not turn out in their numbers.
That's in their mind though. Can I tell you that? It's in their mind.
So they're convinced that this upcoming election, however, they are going to turn out in their numbers, and because the numbers are in their favor, they're going to win. So when he present about 50%, he's trying to insinuate that if 50%
you know, guys, let me tell you something. Protect him.
You see prospect, you know. You see the prospect, you know. I see the delusion.
Hey, let me tell you something. Bob.
You're supposed to be there for life.
Bob.
You're supposed to be there for life.
Bob, listen to this, Bob. Listen to this, Bob. If you put out a poll, I'm gonna give you an example, all right? If you put out a poll and I say to my people, JLP or PNP, and I want this poll to be conducted within the next 2 hours, and I run over to my JLP people and I say, hey, go over there to go vote, or me skew the poll and me come with a result. It's not a real reflection of the people, you know, because I mess with the process, right? So once you tamper with the process, you don't get the real result, right? And usually, if you make a decision based on a fictitious result, you're likely to have bad outcome. Can I say something to you, Bob? That for the last 3 years, that's good. For the last 3 years, the PNP has been using a fake poll. They've used it on the national level to present to their people that they are leading. And they have also used that fictitious poll in removing candidates that are not in their favor as it relates to the Rise United faction, right? So fake poll is a part of the PNP's mechanism, is what they use as a tool in their arsenal. But let me tell you the disadvantage. Let me tell you the disadvantage that they have with that, Bob, is that because they are so fixated on fake poll, they have now convinced themselves that they were leading in the poll, because it was always a fictitious poll that they hired an analyst to do. And when an analyst bring the poll numbers back to them, they take it at 89 Old Hope Road and then change them numbers and release whatever they need to release. So the poll being fake and not a true reflection of the sentiments of the people, it now give the PNP this sort of false narrative to believe that they are leading. And for the last 2.5, 3 years, that's what they've been doing. So they have not really developed a policy based on honesty and what a true reflection of the people. It is based on falsehood. And as a result, even when the polls close and the PNP lose 52 seats to 12, they will still believe that they are leading in the poll. Just like how PNP convinced everybody that this is a PNP country. The PNP is so skilled, Bob, that they will tell you that even after you consume a plate full of food and you walk out the door and you ask a comrade, how are you? Him said, nothing now go on. Me hungry, things rough, me a struggle. If you see a PNP outside the bank and him just come from the bank, deposited $5 million to his account, and you ask him how life, how things, him said, nothing now go on, things rough with me, me a struggle. That is how powerful the PNP arguments are when it comes to working on the minds of non-thinking Jamaicans. The good thing is that demographic of non-thinking Jamaicans have dwindled down to just a mere few. Well-thinking Jamaicans are outnumbering 20-1. That is why at the next elections, I am saying to you that we might reach, if not 50, we might go above 50% because there is so much at stake, Bob. You just alluded to it a while ago, that the country has achieved some things. We still have a lot more to achieve, a lot more work to be done. But not me, but you see too, you see too. But you don't see too.
Yeah, but listen to what I say now. The conclusion is this. If any party get 50%, JLP, PNP, how you want to call, if they have a third party to get 50%, right away, the development of the country has approved, say, the present government, they are the ones who should get the third term. So with your analogy, based upon what you say a while ago, you should be able to tell me, say, your government is gonna get 50%, and you can't tell me that.
No, we can't tell you that because you have to understand. You have to understand. Because, but Bob, we can't give false information.
Choose my question before we even done put it to you. We choose it, then we make you put out everything where big shot them way up.
Me.
Well, on the chopper. Bob, give me a second there, Bob. Well, on the chopper. Chopper.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Thanks for letting me up. I am grateful to be a part of the conversation. So I got my bit now. Bob, to you, sir. I am a boy. My name is Bob. Good night.
Protected boy, the easier child, you know. But big up yourself still. No respect, my brethren. Always good to have you on. Always good to have you on. Bob, you can unmute, man. Always good to have you on. Foresight, you can't sleep, man. Where you there? HR, boy, I don't know. You have to go deal with Bob. Maybe Bob is a special case, you know. And the people over on YouTube, boy, they're enjoying it, you know, boy. I tell you, they are. Bob, them have some choice word for Bob here, you know.
Bob not much sense for.
Maxine is saying that Bob is a, you know, I'm not going to repeat these things. Don't diss him too much. Him, you know, he's a good guy. He's a PNP, but he doesn't want, he don't feel proud of the PNP. That's why I don't want to hold up him fist and below. Yeah, maybe.
You have the patience of a fisherman, brother. you need to lend me a book there, yeah?
Patience is a virtue.
Hey, Chopper, so many things are happening in this country where me know people from the US, Canada, England, they come home. They have all friends with their Japan ready to come home now too. Yeah?
Yeah.
And them a little full argument them a man come with. About 50%. So they give you a talking point to come and talk about 50% of voter turnout. If you don't get more than that, that make no sense.
Yeah, but
when I see my economy. Hey Bob,
hold on, Bob. Bob, hold on. Bob, hold on.
Bob, it's called first across the line. This is a democracy.
But the GLP government, farm government for 2 terms without 50%. So what is he talking about?
Right, and did all this work
without 50%. So.
No betterment, right? For the first time, and we don't borrow 1 cent. We do not at all. I feel we tax dollar work for us. Now.
52 seats.
Where's all that money that your party did have? Hey, listen, man. Hey, all of this is a waste of time. Some people are talking about people can't even eat in Jamaica. Let me tell you this. KFC lines, we have 3 KFC in a mobile. And all of them line long and appear poor people in that line.
Every one of them line long.
Every one of them line long.
You never go in there and get
Chops.
We cannot manage their line. Waste of time, man.
There's 5 members of my family who live in overseas.
Yes, sir.
And we're on the voters list. And we have 3 friends who come up last year, and we have current ID too. We're on the voters list.
Yes.
We're not going to be there to vote. So how can that average that I'm using? I mean, about 4 people dead.
All right. So first of all, I think what Bob failed to recognize, my brother, very good point you made, Mr. Pang. One of the things that Bob doesn't understand is that the current voters list doesn't really truly reflect. As a matter of fact, the current percentage of voter turnout is not accurate because the voters list in of itself is not accurate. So EOJ has a lot of work to do in terms of cleaning up the voters list. And the truth be told, you know, right now we are saying 38% voter turnout, and that is a low voter turnout. But the truth is, if EOJ were to spend some time and clean up the voters list, the voter turnout could very well be anywhere between 40 to 45%, almost 50%, if not more, already.
I heard just that over 200 persons were removed from the list recently. That's this year.
Well, 200 is minuscule compared to 200 is just one constituency. Trust me.
Chapa and Guru, Bob is winning right now by us conversing on this point because it's a waste of
no
time.
Man, but the voter list, no, Miffy. Remember the voters list, the accuracy of the voters list has always been a concern.
No, Chapa, I understand that. Me and you understand that. Even Massa Marco and the dead people and vote. We understand all of that. Right now,
yeah, man, because what happened, you know, even the migration, because if you migrate, you know, if you migrate out of that space for an extended period of time and you're not able to be re-verified, you can be struck off the list. So if you were to put migration and death, the voter turnout could very well be 50% or more already. And that's just my view. I still believe that at least 15% of the voters list currently now are dead people and migration. I believe that.
And I have a current ID. My ID is very current.
There you go. And if that is true, maybe it means that the voter turnout is significantly higher. Is at least 15% more than what it says it is today.
Bro, I understand all of those numbers. I'm just saying it's just what this guy's focusing. His focus is. So till we start, have a big conversation about it. That's all me I said.
Yeah, the PNP always try to change narrative.
Right, he's coming to change the
They
narrative.
don't want to talk about the drop in poverty. They don't want to talk about it.
Intelligent in emerging, if you pick up one thing, you know, phone education is so high. You pick up when I say one thing, and then the next man I come with that different thing as a suggestion. I mean,
Bob, waste my time, Bob. Come on, let's talk on the positives in my country, man. You don't even live here, man. I'm here, hold up. I'm here, chop on them, hold up. Don't get for you, man.
Yeah, but all you convince me to come down the bridge.
You're not on the voters list. You vote from 1980.
But Bob, me never convince you, Bob. You just talk about 6 things a while ago. 6 major developments in Jamaica. which you agree to. And you want more than that? Huh?
You need to react to that.
No, may I ask you, I just presented to you 6 major things that has happened in Jamaica. And you want me to do more than that?
Now give 50% of voters, bro. Anytime you're prime minister, you're supposed to have at least 50%.
So you're saying that Andrew is not the prime minister now?
I'm not a prime minister.
Am I who? Am I the prime minister? Am I who? Have a good night, Bob. I think me have enough for you now. Have a good night, Bob. Have a good night, my brother. No disrespect. No disrespect. But that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. I'm sorry, Bob. My apologies, but you know, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Andrew Hollis won the election with a higher voter turnout than PJ did.
We don't even have to try to prove that, man. He's a PM.
But me I say he win more, he have a higher voter turnout than PJ Pattis. Now this guy is coming here to talk nonsense. Get out of that talk.
Bob, so like one brother we know of Canada from Monday from Manchester. I would have brother the name again. One young man in one time in the program, and I thought I was talking to like somebody who was in their 70s because he was that, you know, the dial-up was so slow. the dial-up it's crazy.
Barbara Bailey called him Comrade Bob. Paul Lewis, JLP Bill back stronger.
Chops, you said something earlier about Rattigan and the Rattig Gang.
Yeah, man. They must be barred, man. Persona.
I just wanted to know that there's 3 international airports in Jamaica.
Yeah, man.
Did that.
They must be barred from all 3, man.
And a 4th is in the bag, you know. You know, I couldn't pass on that.
Well, 5 in that bag because I hear about another one recently too. I know you hear about the grill, but I hear about I hear about a Holland Bamboo in St. Elizabeth. You know about it? I hear about a airstrip, unless me not hear good. But I heard about an airstrip in St. Elizabeth. Somebody Google it for me there.
A tree, man. Top 10 like money platform. A tree.
Tree what?
Tree International.
I did say 3 international airport in Jamaica, and a 4th is coming.
And I'm saying that there's a 5th.
And then Chopper had to say there's a 5th coming.
There's a 5th.
Yes. Listen.
Huh?
Oh, you mean, man? Listen. I don't know if you understand it, but
Same question I asked, what would Jamaica do that stadium?
access is very, very important.
What they were asking.
Access, people love that.
Folks, in China, they build roads and rails in areas that is heavily wooded. Because once you build it, people will come. It's the same question that one would have been asking about the urban center in St. Thomas. Why spend money and build it there?
But even closer than that, Chops, when Ian Fleming was started to be at an international airport, the PNP said we never need a 3rd international airport.
The PNP, look here, when Sandy Gully started, the PNP boycotted it and called the Gully government. Sandy Gully, which saved Kingston from going under like Port Royal. Sandy Gully would carry millions of gallons of water to the sea and prevent Kingston from becoming Port Royal. When it was being constructed, PNP called the Gully government. You think I like wickedness PNP do about it? It's a Rastafari and them. And then if you come vote JLP this election too. That's another demographic that need to get them senses together, get them bearings together and come out. You know what Marcus Garvey, when Eddie Seaga brought back Marcus Garvey body to Jamaica, you know what PNP did? When Michael Manley, when Eddie Seaga had, I'm gone off script for a minute, but I wanted to get this. When they had his body at the National Arena for viewing, they talk about Marcus Messiah Garvey. When they had his body at the National Arena for viewing, and they went down to Hero Circle to do what needed to be done. PNP dug the grave east to west. Sorry, north to south, turning the grave towards the sea. And people might be wondering, what is Chapa talking about? Standard burial procedure is east to west. Right? Your head turning to the east, your foot to the west. And criminals are buried north to south. Did you know that? Anybody here know that? Criminals. When you're a criminal, you're supposed to be buried. The state bury you north. The state bury you north to south. And for decent law-abiding citizens, you're buried east to west. Well, the PNP went down there and dig the grave north to south. PNP wanted to bury Marcus Garvey like a hardened criminal. Hello? That's what they did. GLP had to rush down there before the burial. That is why if you go to the National Hero Circle tomorrow morning, I bet you. And if you were to look at the graves in Hero Circle,
it's shaped like an X.
That's the only grave down there that's shaped like an X. Because they had to redig it pretty much so the body could hold east to west as opposed to north south. You never know that. I see what's something. When you see the grave, look at Marcus Garvey grave. It's not a design where it's like that. It was the error. It was the wickedness that PNP did. Remember, start this up. It started from Norman Washington Manley was the one who sewed the shirt of a Marcus Garvey back and sent him into exile. When he won the lawsuit, they fight Marcus Garvey outside of the courthouse at Spanish Town, beat him up. Norman Manley do it. Beat him up, physically abuse him. And they sew the shirt off his back. Meaning they took out a lawsuit that take away all his possession, including the shirt on his back. No joke. And he went into pretty much depression and had to take away himself from Jamaica, run to England, and died there. When you hear hardcore Rastafarians come out and talk about them and support PNP, it's because none of them don't know what PNP do. Marcus Garvey is one of the most powerful black men come out in the world. Come from Jamaica. Marcus Garvey formed the first political movement in Jamaica. And from there, so, Norman Manley never liked him as a black man. And if Rastafarians are true black men who supposed to stand up for black people, and they want to vote for PNP, some of them, not all. Most of them are wise up now. So that's another demographic of voters that need to get them bearings together.
Chapa, you miss out one little part still.
Talk to me.
Remember the fire for fire and blood for blood argument?
Yes. Yes.
Remember I say Norman Manley walk with the gang and they start stone the procession.
Yeah, man.
When Marcus Garvey they bury.
Yes, man. They mash up. They mash it up. They mash up. They want to mash up the funeral.
Right.
Can you imagine?
And they said fire to fire for fire, blood for blood. That's how the argument will come up.
The first national hero in this country, maybe PNP never supported him because Norman Manley never want to see him from day one. Them beat him up, then came to court, them sue the shirt off and back, send him into exile, and he died in England. PNP do that. And when his body was returned to this country, they disrupted the funeral. They cut in grave to bury him like a hardened criminal. And when they couldn't have their way, they stoned the procession, bringing his body to the hero circle. Rastafarians must never forget or forgive PNP for that. Those were secret moments. I'm a joke, so.
Hey, Chopper, and even that too, them leader, the father's son, aligned himself to Castro. That's all.
Long time. A matter of fact.
And Castro, and Castro sent 45,000 soldiers going to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying that those soldiers aligned themselves to doing the military coup that push out Haile Selassie, make Selassie go in exile too.
But not only that. Remember that they aligned themselves with the USSR.
Yeah.
And Michael Manley did not make a decision to become democratic socialist because the Jamaican people wanted it. It was his own political philosophy. He created it. He coined the word. Michael Manley had no interest in Jamaica, land we love. Michael's interest was to become the leader of the international anti-imperialist movement. Stephen Biko, Walter Sassuolo, Tamio Mbeki. Who else?
Him saying was president for Socialist International.
Socialist International is an organization registered in Geneva, Switzerland. An organization that the PNP is a member.
Yeah, because back in the 80s, that was the birth of the comrade movement all over the world.
Look here. When Michael decided that he was going to follow Fidel to the mountaintop. Hello, Mivi. Michael vowed to follow Fidel to the mountaintop. That was when he brought Jamaica into the crosshair of the United States. I've always said it, that the JLP during his time as opposition in the 1970s did not have to invite the CIA to Jamaica. Michael Manley invited the CIA. It is Michael who invited the CIA in Jamaica between 72 and 79.
And the KGB.
Right? Well, the KGB more so was stationed in Cuba. But they had operatives here. Remember, folks, that you're dealing with a country that had 120 missile pointing at Florida at the time. Cuba, in Valadero. Pointing just a stone throw away from Florida. And America said that can't happen in their backyard. And Michael did not recognize that pissing off the United States is going to hurt Jamaica. And even when he was told that this was going to happen, he said he doesn't care. He's doing it on a matter of principle. Had nothing to do with the Jamaican people. Michael is responsible for wiping out a half of Jamaica's fortune between 72 and 1980. And he wore a Bush jacket. He signed on to Fidel Castro. Signed on to Fidel so much maybe that the man become, I don't know what to say, puppet for Fidel. Puppet for Fidel. But when the dust was settled, a matter of fact, he journeyed to the Kremlin with Fidel. He accompanied Fidel to the Kremlin. Talk about the screen, guys. See if we can bring us up to 100K, man. And when he was, Estrada was the foreign minister from Cuba, appointed here in Jamaica. Estrada led the delegation into the Kremlin, of which Michael Manley was the guest, special guest of Fidel Castro. And he was introduced to the hierarchy in Russia as the next communist island in Jamaica. And he shook hands on that. He agreed that he's going to make Jamaica the next communist country island in the Caribbean. Nicaragua was also targeted, and Grenada. They killed Maurice Bishop in 1983. Yeah? The United States, after Fidel dressed in a Bush jacket and accompanied Fidel to the Kremlin, Michael promised that Jamaica would be the next communist country. And when he came back, I don't know what took him, but he had a change of heart. Of course, America's foreign policy is that they have interests, not friends. And they sided with him. And they assisted in the process of removing Eddie Seaga from office. Eddie Seaga didn't lose 1988 just like that. So make these things soaking. So when these historical events is presented as part of the decision going into the next election, persons must be reminded of what the PNP has done and what they can do.
Exactly. And most currently,
yes,
the leader, Mark Golding, the article that was found of him and his parent, his mom and dad, marching with placards about the individuals that they did not want poor people to move or to reside in their area because they were going to devalue them land. Mm-hmm. So Mark Golding's mom and dad marched and demonstrated that these individuals be evacuated from their residence.
Yes.
It is a live document, and Mark Golding was a part of that demonstration.
Rough, man. It's a rough period. But, folks, it is a minute. I see Chroma's trying to hop in here for the last minute. Let me see if we can get Chroma's in.
I give him my space.
Yeah, all right.
You see that piece of information we just talk about 100 Live, that needs to be a big story.
Yeah, man, of course.
To make that a big story.
Of course. Because
people need to know.
Chromas are going to give you a couple of minutes because it is actually midnight now. It's a minute to 12. And at 12 o'clock we're going to jump off with that tone. But I really appreciate it, Foresight. Big up yourself, man.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Give thanks. Let me see if we can get Chromas a box real quick. Shawarski. All right, Chromas, you there?
Yeah, Chopper.
Good morning.
Yeah, man, blessings.
Good morning. Good morning, Substar, and the rest of drink them then.
Yeah, man, blessings and virgin.
You hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, good morning. I just one little thing we don't want to say. But we don't know about the thing. We kind of left off. Because I was the thing we talk about there.
Yeah.
But the boss the Marcus Camp, I was telling them about the life about it, you know.
Yeah, man.
I was put one more thing on it. I'm going to tell us in 1958 to 59, they have the Red Hills raid. Now I'm the friend of the prosecutor side of Jamaica. You see me?
Yeah.
1950, the red is red. It happened.
Yeah.
Now, at the premiere, he was the first. I call him Dread. That's why the rest of them don't like that word dreadful. Because normally call him Dread.
Yeah.
So the rest of them don't like that word there. So the first, before Carl got the incident, he'd have the red is red. And now I'm the persecutor, I call him Black Heart Man. It start from there. So, but the rest of them go remember Carl got the incident. Now remember the red is red before Carl got Michael Manley. Prosecute them and trim them and do all kind of something and send them go to jail. You see me? So when them come with them foolishness, so as the choppers are the true Rasta man, them and they know history, they want to support PNP. And there's some people that talk about Rasta don't associate with labor right. I don't show PNP propaganda current got the incident. Another incident I don't like labor right for. I don't have any name there. Bakawale, Edward Sega running some of them. And clean up down there and fix up down there and build up down there. So them eight Edward say I go flat and labor right for that. So them two reasons them carry belly for. And then Michael man come tell a bag of lie. But Joshua Selassie give him rough correction. And when they start calling Joshua and them something there. And choose that old con man and go around people with his sweet mouth and tell Calvin in character is him charisma that he use. You see me? As the chap said, he was a self-centered person. Never interested in the Jamaican want to be the head of the communist thing there. Where chaps that talk about the organization there. It's true. He's arrogant. You see me? Never like Jamaica. You see me? You know, you want to be the president of the whole of the West Indies. That's him to do and for Jamaica. And dash people on one side. And then say my father catch you to the mountain and dash the Jamaican people. You see me? I've just a father Castro. So the rest of them I tell about the remember Reddit is red 1958-59. You see me? Now I'm prosecuting the first and call it dreadlocks and Black Heart Man. That's why I wrestle like that one call him Dread Catch now I'm bandit. So when I want to blame Buster Manti for Carol got the incident. And I go like this way stop and this way start. And this way start. And I go like I have amnesia and selective memory. But when I want to believe I don't want to support PNP through Michael Manley. Michael Manley when I support people about Joshua. But Selassie, the lion said but Selassie word of correction. No go so. When Selassie come to Jamaica in 1960s and liberate power. You never know nothing about that. Lion. And then people can start calling Joshua like him as Jesus Christ. And Joshua, Jesus Christ is not Hebrew, Joshua. You not know Jesus around here, if you never know. That is the word. Joshua is a Jewish thing, word to Jesus. We'll learn this still. Chops. So everybody gets so quiet. Two people in the box. Show traffic.
One a big part of the degradation of Jamaica too. Where you not touch that big fat man where I said it with them part.
Yeah, that's a caca there.
With them bridging that about integrity too.
Yeah, man, whichever man you want, I want to name there. We lock down good. Yeah, name again. Yeah, we went that.
Yeah, man. Lambert
Brown, yes.
Yeah, most people are the people who put back Jamaica backward. Man, you come from prison right now. We are living on food for the poor house.
All right. Tell us something. Let's say something to you about Trevor Monroe. So then we used to come in at Tarrant Secondary. We used to go in. They never done high school yet. You see me? Tarrant Secondary. He have a Rasta. I write him up at university. I'm a lecturer at university. I can't remember his name. But he's well beat up. So they come on TV 1 or 2 times occasionally on TVJ as guests come talk. He's beat up. But he's a professor or a lecturer. But he used to teach at Tarrant High School at the time.
that man was a straight Trevor Monroe follower. He used to have people named Struggle. He used to push up on people like people as a Rasta man. Remember that? I used to teach art and craft at Tarrant School at the time. I tell you that in the 80s when I go to school. You see me? When I can't remember him, still up you was a big lecturer now. A Rasta man up there. Well made up and rank up on TVJ sometime. So as guest or something. More time come to when bringing fan party, a big old Pnp. But at the time that for the Trevor Monroe struggle, you don't know that paper that when you struggle. A communist straight paper.
Yeah, man.
He used to have it and give people have it and at school youth, I used to see him. I give people the paper and I introduce the doctrine, the communist doctrine to people. And I follow Trevor Monroe, double PJ.
Yeah, man. Workers' Party of Jamaica.
Yes, and Nava Manley again, as I say, as the chop say tell us about. Say Marcus Garvey. It's true. And at the same time, 80 man and I try to make PNP after Marcus Garvey party car. Marcus party is 3P. People's Political Party, Triple P, and they come with PNP a fight. You see me? That's why they come with PNP. You know, the only things I put it in for them on a Triple P, the People Political Party, that was Marcus Garvey party. We did farm first. The first part we farm. You see me? But chaps, you know about the radio is though. When persecute the rest of them.
Yeah, man.
Now, Manley.
Enough things not out there, but still come out there, because we're not going to leave it unturned.
Yes, man. So the rest of them know the real history, who support PNP.
I appreciate my YouTubers for coming on. Let me turn this down a little bit. I appreciate my YouTubers for coming on. Maxine Wildman, big up yourself. Curtis Latibo there. Larry Perry. Colonel LV. Taylor, I see you in the building. Montegonian in action is in the building. Wait, Montegonian in action? I wonder who that. That's my organization, you know. I'm a member of Montegonian in action. I am. I don't know who's the individual, but I will know in a minute. Novlet Smith Brown, big up yourself. Good to see you. Happy you are here with us. Who else is here? We got 100 persons. We're down to 80 now on YouTube. First time being back on YouTube for a while, but we are going to do this again, and we're going to do it again and again and again. So thank you all for joining us on the YouTube channel. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow, Saturday. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. We can do a longer stream tomorrow. I'll have a more in-depth conversation with a few guests. We invite some people to come over and chit-chat with us. Bridgemar, big up yourself, Bridgemar. Good to see you, my dear. I trust that you are doing fantastic as always. And yeah, we will see you around. Nadine, big up yourself. Maxine, big up yourself. Was a lot of persons are watching us on the For You page. Well, it's For You is on TikTok, huh? But big up yourself, Paul. Thank you all for joining it. And yeah, Aston, big up yourself as well. We come, big up. I'm going to be back tomorrow, I promise, and we can have further discussions. Tomorrow we'll look at some more achievements. We'll play some videos tomorrow on some of the achievements of the government, what they have done so far, and why it is that we think that the JLP administration is deserving of a third term. They are deserving of a third term, and we are going to continue to work for them so they can achieve that. Big up on yourself. Peace over here on our YouTube channel. I have not played... let's see. We haven't played a single ad. Let's see where they are. Let's see what works. Let's see what works. It's because we have not been over here for a minute. But let's see.
Spice up your winnings. New game supreme up on the scene. Hot pick a do it and it's easy to win. Pick any number from 1 to 15. Then all you do is watch all your winnings come in. All you need a $10. You can bet it and make it in $100. You might even win a 110 or 130. And the best money this you ever spend, dada. Hot pick. Supreme Ventures, this are the new hot topic. So easy if you win, check your ticket for the payout where you get then wrap up your money in the elastic.
Greetings, Nalda Addy here, and today we're in the streets of Jamaica trying to find out whether or not the people know what the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is responsible for. Let's find out. Alright, Margie, so what is the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation responsible for?
Getting jobs for people and see to it that the country run right. Yeah. And see to it that everything the best of health and wealth.
Really and truly them response everything though, Magina. Yeah. Everything them response, I know.
Apparently, I think our house and water car, you don't know.
If I'm going to buy a house, I know that them can help me to get all my land title.
Yeah, man, that is correct because they're responsible for the National Land Agency, so you're most definitely correct. Respect.
That is Andrew Holness Ministry now?
Yes, it is.
Then he responds for development and housing.
They have to deal with like Port Authority or climate change and planting trees or them some of them.
The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is responsible for implementing policies through its key portfolio areas, including housing, urban renewal, environment, climate change, works, water, land, and economic policy and investment. Visit www.megjc.gov.jm to learn more. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at megjc_jm.
Yep. All right, folks. So you all have a great evening, and we will see you here tomorrow. I'll send out a notification on the timing that we're going to go live tomorrow. So again, big up yourself. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you tomorrow. Third term loading, Bridgemar. Third term loading for real. Bye-bye, everybody. Peace. I'm out.